Triads Sky, 8 is Fate series, Book 1, a Stray Kids-inspired adventure, by Lexi. Chapter 1, Heart of a Wolf. I remember once, many years ago, the first time I ever heard the name they all call me, which, in the old language, means Child of the Moon. Since then, I've spent so much time wondering why it always sounded like a curse. When I was young, there were countless days running through the forest up to the peaks of the snow-dusted mountains, just to get a glimpse of the shining city nestled against the horizon like a streak of silver. It calmed me, seeing both how far from it I was and how close, how if I just ran far enough, I could get there someday. My friends would often sit around the fire and whisper stories they'd heard of what lay beyond the valley and the many different places above us, swirling together amongst the stars to create the universe. Everyone seemed to have destinations they wanted to go to, things they wanted to see, or people they wanted to become. For me, it was enough to listen to their dreams and wait, wishing with naivety on shooting stars that only ever burned up in the atmosphere. I learned it early. Life never takes the path that you imagine, and if you think it's led you astray, life is stubborn. She won't turn around. Watching my friends leave, each in their own time and for different reasons, always felt like a part of me breaking away, forking off onto whatever paths they had taken, and leaving me with my feet still planted firmly on the ground, and a heart torn in every possible direction. Now, besides a curse, my name is a warning. There he sits, poor, lonely boy, Mian Dao Chan, Child of the Moon. In his eyes are all the people he's lost. Sol Anan Dao Chan, Wolf of no pack. I have become the cautionary tale for the children of the valley. Their parents tell them they should leave before they end up like me. I remind people to get on with their lives, not to be patient and wait for a destiny, a meaning that never arrives. Chan's out there in the forest again. If you hear a howl in the mountains, pray that Mian Dao Chan is nearby. Do you see how the wolf cubs follow him? That's what'll happen to you if you stay here too long. The moon takes prisoners. The dreams I'd had as a young boy of reaching that glimmering city, of visiting every nameless star, it all felt farther away than everyone I've ever known and lost. I count off their names before I go to sleep, holding no anger toward them, but forever endless grief. Aaron, Medaya, Kais, Clouster, Ventrix, Rista, Lark. Please live good lives, I tell them. Badias, Jazrin, Maeve, Pater, Arissa, Quim, Yan. My pack, how I miss you. Every time I look up at the night sky and see a shooting star, I run towards it, with it, across the fields, breathing hard as I try to keep up. Maybe my feet will rise above the ground one day and I'll be able to catch that lost star at last. What dreams, Chan, only dreams. The pups follow me to town again this evening. It scares the villagers as the once tumbling furballs are slowly turning into actual wolves. So the little ones and I have an agreement. The 3 of them wait in the tree line until I get back. If I bring them something special for dinner, that usually does the trick, but tonight they're right at my heels, nipping at each other and tripping over their 2 big paws, yellow eyes gleaming in the moonlight and their gray fur standing on end. I don't think I'll ever understand why they still follow me when they're old enough to be on their own. I found their mother's body in the forest a year ago and buried her as best I could. She hadn't managed to escape the mountain's larger beasts, which I spend a lot of my time carefully avoiding. On my way back through the trees, I suddenly heard the pups' cries from a nearby cave. Perhaps they stay with me because we are the same, both lonely, without others. They've been within shouting distance ever since. You see it, don't you? Several seconds pass before I realize that the old woman is speaking to me. Muriel sits huddled behind her ramshackle stall carved into the side of the mountain, her thin hands tending the fire at her feet, and I watch with interest as she takes a pinch of the ashes and carefully observes them as they're blown away by the wind. When I don't answer, she takes a strip of what looks like dried meat from her table and tosses it to the ground in front of me. Of course, the pups dive for it, battling each other over who will eat first. I dislike the idea of charity turned on me, so I go to pull a few coins from my belt, diligently earned from whatever work the villagers will still pity me with. Suddenly, Muriel's eyes are on me, their silver-gray depths akin to a freshwater stream. I will take your payment in the form of an answer, child. She extends her hand in invitation. It's been a while since I've spent any time in the valley, as during the summer months I prefer to explore the woods and return to the cabin when it starts getting cold. While I don't necessarily consider old Muriel a friend, with her suspicious words and eerie practices, I suppose I'm not one to be picky. What answer? She smiles down at the dwindling fire like she's sharing a secret with the flames. Perhaps she is. Muriel has been here long before I was born. She lived quietly, so I'm told, always seeming to prefer being alone instead of joining in with the rest of the village. People respected her for her business, but I could never understand her ease with loneliness. Maybe I was still too young, or maybe I'd never understand. I go to lean against the side of the cave, watching the cubs lick their paws and then each other. The stars are smiling tonight, Muriel tells me. One of the pups perks his ears up at her voice and then looks at me, springing into a run and launching himself into the air. I fall to the ground with a handful of fur and teeth, laughing a little at his precious clumsiness. I hear the old woman click her tongue, and when I glance over at her again, she's watching the pup wriggle in my arms, scratching at my coat and curling up in my lap. Your family feels it too. She gestures in the direction all three of the pups are now looking, off into the dark sky, into nothing. I still don't know what answer you want. She huffs. It's obvious to the fire, to the mountains, and to me. Tell me you aren't as blind as the others, Chan. The stars are shining in the darkness like they always are. There's nothing about them that makes me pause. In fact, they look sad to me, so far away from each other, so cold. Muriel suddenly puts out the fire, plunging us into darkness. My eyes never need to adjust. Like the wolves, I've been able to see in the dark since this curse first sunk its claws into me. Tell me what you see, child, Muriel says softly. Like salt scattered across a dark cloth, the stars are endless and impossible to name. The second my eyes find one to focus on, it flickers away, and I'm forced to try again, forever jumping from star to star in an attempt to catch their gaze. I see nothing, I tell her. The sky wants to keep its secrets to itself. I hear her sigh. It is difficult to be a child without parents, a bird without wings, a wolf without a pack. The little ones follow you because they sense that. Perhaps you can't see the stars yet because you're still searching for yourself. The universe is only a reflection of us. Remember that. I look at her, and in the dark her eyes have lost none of their color, gleaming with an understanding that I cannot even grasp. People like me don't find themselves, I say. Hearts like mine live and die with none of our questions answered. I've made peace with that. Muriel laughs loudly, her whole body shaking with it. Do you hear him? Ah, Chan. You will find your place. It is simply a matter of whether or not you will have the strength to endure what it costs. And it costs what, exactly? I'm afraid I have nothing left to give. The words have a weight to them that almost hurts to carry. Briefly, I regret saying them, like somehow speaking them made it real. Muriel whistles sharply, and all three pups snap to attention and then trot calmly towards her, tails eagerly swaying. I watch, a bit stunned, as they settle around her chair and curl up atop each other. This is how they sleep at home, at the cottage in the forest. I've never seen them respond to anyone but me, and for a moment I'm speechless. The old woman settles back and closes her eyes with an ease I'm rather envious of. You cannot give what you do not know you have. And that's the last thing she says. I sit there for a while longer, eventually giving up on the stars and deciding the pups will find me again if they want to. I'm not their mother, after all. The walk back through the trees after I've bartered for what I need is long because I'm alone. I feel it in every single one of my steps. I don't know if I should take anything away from Muriel's mumblings. Could she see something in the sky that I can't? Did I even give her a proper answer? A strange feeling of weightlessness comes over me and my heart, as for the first time in years I ponder the idea of once again finding a family, a pack, myself. Maybe the universe has a plan for me, or maybe not. But how much longer could I spend on this planet wishing I had the courage to leave it and find out? Certainly I'd pay whatever price it took to see what Muriel sees in the sky, the fire, and the mountains. All I see are the faces of the people I'm no longer with, and they have been the chains with which I've bound myself here. I don't make it home that night. Somehow my feet take me up, higher and higher, to the tallest peak of the mountain. These days the fields are filled with min azure flowers. They open every full moon, which it was tonight. I watched as their bright blue light spilled out and shone brighter as the moon came overhead. Their pollen dusted the air, sending twinkling lights through the sky, sticking to my clothes and skin. The flowers were beautiful, but even more so was the feeling suddenly stirring in my heart as I laid back and took in the night. It could be false hope to believe in something as childish as fate, but any hope was an irresistible luxury. I wanted to believe. Instead of saying their names as I fell asleep, feeling the tendons of my heart tearing and wrenching apart as I did, I closed my eyes and imagined the names of others. A family who would stand beside me as we tried to make sense of the sky together. It was all I could hope for, all I could dream of. Their faces came to me as I slept, and all of them flickering away as I tried to reach out.